Hey everybody, it's Aldo Gandhi, and I just want to let you know really quickly that our swag shop is reopened. DeepDishTees.com is where you go, and that's tees with T-E-E-S. Clever name, guys. They're the new home of our merchandise. You can get t-shirts, you can get caps, you can get coffee mugs, you can get hoodies, you can get all sorts of good stuff, and you'll help out the bar room with the purchase. So head over to DeepDishTees.com.
Some may find the following disturbing. Discretion is advised.
What's up and welcome back to Bar Down Talking Hockey, episode number 38, presented by the Barroom Network. My name is Vinny Parisi, and I'm here with Frankie Mueller and Joey Parisi. And Joseph, you like tacos?
Of course. Who doesn't like tacos? I don't think I've ever come across someone who just genuinely doesn't like tacos.
Because there's way to make tacos if you're like a vegetarian or, you know, whatever type of lifestyle you live. There is a taco for everyone. Frank?
I love tacos. Yeah, I love tacos. Soft shell. Right.
So that's a big debate amongst Earthlings. I would say soft shells are more popular. I like hard shells.
Better than the soft?
Yeah, but I'm not ripping on soft shells by any means. I hold no prejudice towards the soft shell.
You think soft shells are more popular?
Yeah, I do think soft shells are more popular.
You go to like a Mexican restaurant, they just default come on the corn tortilla with soft shell.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but when you order a taco, it comes on like a hard shell.
I don't know about that.
90% of the time I've ever ordered a taco, I'd have to verbally tell them I want it on a soft shell. Otherwise,
really? Maybe it's just a virtue of experience. But I know
think
me
if
and
you're
Joey,
at a Mexican restaurant, it's just easier for them to do soft shell because then everybody could just make what they want. They don't want to throw a bunch of hard shells on a platter.
See, I think like the hard shell taco, it has a place on the Mexican menu. But I do think that more people go towards the soft shell if they have an option.
Is like it taco day or something? Or what the hell made you think of that?
I had tacos for dinner last night from this place in Palatine, Illinois. It's called The Donkey. And they were nacho tacos. Frank, you would have loved them. They were marinated. The steak was marinated. It had nacho cheese on it. There was tomatoes. I know you guys don't like tomatoes, but you get it without that stuff if you don't like it. But they were just really good. And so I wanted to ask, like, what's your opinion on like fast food tacos versus a quality Mexican joint?
What's your opinion on beef, chicken, or steak?
Out of those three, I would go steak out of those three.
Wow. See, I'm a chicken guy.
But what's your thoughts on fast food versus like authentic? You like a good Taco Bell taco?
Yeah, I like fast food more than authentic, I would say.
Ooh, okay. I know me and Joey are probably on the opposite side of the fence with that.
Yeah, I love a good authentic Mexican. Especially on a Tuesday, it just hits different.
Give a shout out to your favorite place to get tacos on planet Earth.
Well, north of the border in Bartlett, Illinois, will always hold special place. I haven't been there in a while, but over in Elgin, El Paraiso. I don't know if I've ever ordered just their tacos. I always find myself getting either a burrito or a torta, but I'm sure their tacos are dank. So,
Frank, do you have any special taco places that are close to your heart?
Besides Taco Bell, because I'm a fast food taco
guy.
Like
I like Taco Bell a lot.
I also like Chuy's. We went to Chuy's for sandwich Saturday.
Chuy's
they closed down.
Good.
They're not around anymore.
You're referring to the one that used to be by Woodfield Mall, I assume.
Yeah, they're still out there in the world, but that one closed down. They actually that was my favorite Mexican place of all time, actually. So
awesome. I'm gonna give a shout out to North of the Border, of course. North of the Border, Bartlett, Illinois. We've come to know the owner just a bit, so shout out to him. Taco Bell as well. You know, you got the chalupas and the quesadillas and just the nachos. Everything about Taco Bell is awesome, and I'll eat it at any point in the day.
This is what I like. Right here on the bottom of the screen, it says the biggest taco ever made was constructed on November 20th, 2011 in Querétaro, Mexico. It was 246 feet long. Holy fuck.
Ooh, and they use carnitas as the
But now
the
we're talking
meat.
about like length. Was it big too, or was it just like the shell?
Long. When they say long, they mean like
So it wasn't like giant. It was just
Oh, yeah, no.
like,
Yeah, like their normal taco size, just really long.
yeah, that's
or
what
was
I'm
it like
picturing.
a big
I'm-
taco?
I'm
Just
picturing
like a giant, the size of a car length.
Well, that's like
Yeah.
that's like almost the size of a football field.
yeah, no, I think it's the size of like your typical taco and then 246
long.
feet long.
Right when I read that, I'm picturing a taco.
I did too.
literally-
I thought of the big one.
But you see, this is what you get here at the Barroom Network. Like I come here and I bring this random conversation, and we just start spitting out stats at the bottom of the screen while we talk about it.
See, Scox knows El Paraiso. Place in Elgin, right off McLean, I believe it is. Ooh.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Scott says that he thinks people think hard shells are more common.
No. I think what he's saying is, dude, people that say they love hard shells, he doesn't understand.
Oh,
Of which I think he agrees with me that an
Yeah.
authentic taco is like on your corn tortilla. It's got if you get Mexican style, it's got onions and cilantro, and that's about it.
yeah, sure. And listen, I know I'm in the minority on that. I truly think that like the soft shell community is way more popular than the hard shell community. So that's what
Yeah.
I got on tacos. Hopefully we get to enjoy some tacos together sometime soon.
We got a lot of things on tap for us to enjoy soon. What are we getting most recently, Frank? Well, we'll just get out of the way now.
What are we going to get?
Yeah, what are we going to get? What's front on the list?
Well, fresh fried fish and wings is fresh on the front on the list.
Yeah, I'm saying like tomorrow we got something planned.
Oh, the new wings at Applebee's. They're Cheeto-based wings, and there's hot Cheetos. So they have hot Cheeto wings and regular Cheetos wings, and then there's also an exclusive Mountain Dew flavor, and it's a dark berry.
I'm so excited to try these wings.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. And
Me too,
we'll
yeah.
we'll get into the reason we're going out for dinner tomorrow a little later in the show. But of course, boys want to talk some freaking hockey.
No.
No. Well, screw you, because we're gonna do so anyway in period number 1. And welcome
No.
And welcome to period number 1, where me and Joey are going to talk about the Chicago Blackhawks while Frankie Mueller just sits there and says nothing because I don't want to hear from him anymore.
Well, that's like somebody asking you, how are you doing? Nobody says shitty. They're always like, I'm good.
No, I've
That's
come
not
across
true,
some.
yeah.
That is just so wrong.
Yeah, that's not true.
That is just so
I've never
wrong.
encountered somebody who said shitty.
Well, you hang out with
They're
happy
always
people.
like, oh, good, I'm good.
You just talk to unhonest people.
Yeah.
When I get to work one day, if I'm having a shitty morning, someone asks,
Yep.
"Hey, how you doing?" I'm like, "Today sucks."
Yep, I'm freaking tired. I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
I want to go home. Couldn't agree more, Joseph. Man, see, this is just proof that like when you grow up in the same house, your experiences are just a little different. Like Frankie, he sees that most people like hard shell, and me and Joy are like, no. Those are the minority.
Frankie
What if
walked
you-
out of his
what if
house.
It's like a stranger though, and they're like, "Oh, how you doing?"
I'm gonna start asking everyone I know.
I feel like it's
Next
different
bar
when you
down.
know the person.
All right, so here's my promise to people who watching. The next bar down, I will have collected data on everyone I talk to on their opinion of hard shell versus soft shell.
Frankie's still on the greetings, how are you thing. Frank, I actually can attest to that. Sometimes people at work, if I'm super busy and I'm like stressed out and I'm pissed and I'm in a rush, I get to their cars, they'll ask me, how you doing today? And I'll be like, honestly, today kind of sucks. I'm super busy, we're a little short staffed. And then they wish me well. Sometimes you get a tip out of that, playing the sympathy card. But yeah, I'm honest with people.
That's funny. So, because it's period number 1, we're going to get out of the way early talking about the stinky Chicago Blackhawks, who they defeated the Montreal Canadiens last week right after our show, and then they got smoked by my Toronto Maple Leafs as expected on Saturday night, and then they were canceled due to the Calgary Flames having a bout with COVID-19 on Monday. So, just 1-1 since their last show. Guys, we talked about Jonathan Toews in our last show. I wrote a blog about how he's going to score against Montreal, and he freaking finally scored. Toews is on the board. So, Frank, I'll start with you. What does it mean for you to watch the captain get off his goal-scoring schneid against the Montreal Canadiens, and then following it up with another goal the next game against the Toronto Maple Leafs?
Well, he definitely had to get going, and he did. And I said on the last show that when he scores, they're going to come in bunches, and so far they have. I'm looking forward to another golden night from him. That was a big win. Taves had the game-winning goal, I'm pretty sure, in the Montreal game. So that was big. They have to win against those bottom-feeding teams. And then they almost pulled it out against Toronto. So I wouldn't say Toronto really had them blown out because they came back. But yeah.
Yeah, the Leafs stink. They they get up to a 4-1 lead. Vinny says they blew them out. They get up to a 4-1 lead and nearly crumble, like we've seen the Leafs do so much in the past with a 4-1 lead. But yeah, like I said, Jonathan Taves, I told you guys, I said it on last week's show that he is for sure scoring against the Leafs. The Leafs are just one of those teams where you break streaks like that. Happened against the Canadiens the game before, but my only beef with that Leafs game is you'd like to see a win from Lankinen. Like, I don't know, Fleury, we saw him in his milestone on his way to his Hall of Fame career, and you'd like to see them get a win from their backup, and it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, Taves is one of the most important players in the history of the organization. And in that game against Montreal, he kind of put the team on his back, and it allowed Marc-Andre Fleury to hold the shutout. And of course, he collected his 500th career win. And the only people to ever have that milestone are Martin Brodeur, who got a majority of his wins with the New Jersey Devils before collecting, like 6 or 7 with the St. Louis Blues. And then Patrick Waugh, who had his career pretty much split down the middle between those Montreal Canadiens and the Colorado Avalanche. Now, when Fleury collected his 500th win, the crowd was chanting, Fleury, Fleury. And it was just one of the coolest moments. He's a native of that area. And Joe, Frankie came a little later, but this has been a Marc-Andre Fleury podcast since its inception. And it's just so cool to see him reach this milestone, no matter what team he's playing for.
Yeah, it was awesome, and it was awesome for the Blackhawks the way they reacted. Like, they haven't known this guy; he's not a franchise goalie for them, and the way that they treated Fleury and recognized him, and then the locker room celebration, it was honestly just awesome. I feel like any team would have done it, but it was just really cool to see the Chicago Blackhawks treat Fleury well after this milestone. And I don't always have nice things to say about the Montreal Canadiens fans. But like you said, when they were chanting Fleury and they gave him a standing ovation after their team just got shut out, we all know how passionate those fans are, but their team just got shut out. They put that aside and recognized what Marc-Andre Fleury had just accomplished, and that was really cool as well.
I think if a Chicago native son made it to the National Hockey League and he was a goalie and he reached some sort of great milestone like that against the Blackhawks, I think our hometown people would react the same.
Oh, yeah, I kind of agree. Yeah.
Frank, thoughts on Marc-Andre Fleury?
I'm so happy he was with the Hawks. When I heard the news over the summer, I thought it was a joke. Just to see such a legendary Hall of Fame goalie play for your favorite team is truly it's magical, to be honest. I never thought I'd see the day. And I'm really excited for tonight's game because they're honoring Fleury before tonight's game. It was supposed to be against Calgary, but since that was postponed, they're going to do it tonight. And I'm looking forward to watching the highlight video package, whatever they got for him, and really honoring one of the greatest goalies of all time.
Yeah, and I think it's fitting that they honor him before playing the Washington Capitals, because he just dominated them for so long, and he's their daddy. So good for Marc-Andre Fleury. Glad to see him do that. I hope that the Blackhawks trade him if they are clearly not going to the playoffs, because I would like to see him play in the postseason and keep his streak, his NHL elite streak of making it to the playoffs as a starting goaltender intact, because that would mean a lot to him. And it'd be cool to watch more Marc-Andre Fleury this season instead of having it end whenever the regular season ends. I want to watch as much Marc-Andre Fleury as possible. And you know what? That team up there in Edmonton could really use a goaltender like him right now. So hopefully something like that happens. But against the Maple Leafs with Kevin Lankinen in net, Joey made a good point. They don't really collect wins that Marc-Andre Fleury doesn't start right now, but they showed that they can play with the elite teams in the NHL. The Leafs are an elite team, whether or not Joey wants to admit it. And the Leafs dominated the first half of the game, and then really the Blackhawks dominated the second half of the game, and they deserved to win just as much. And then a bad bounce off the stanchion, Kevin Lankinen, you better be sure that if you're coming out like that you're going to be able to play the puck. You weren't able to. And David Kampf was able to, of course, of all people, a former Blackhawk, was able to stuff the puck in the net and give the Leafs the lead very late in the game, and the Hawks walk away with nothing. But there's no moral victories when you're double-digit points behind a playoff spot. But they did play well against the Leafs. So, Frank, I'll start with you. I think they showed they can play with these teams and they can beat these teams, but it's probably too little too late.
Well, the biggest problem with the Hawks is that they can't play complete games. They really have a bad opening, or they finish off the game weak. And in that game, they had a really bad start to the game. And they got down 4-1. They ended up managing to come back, make it 4-4. And then once again, I said it last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, former teammates always find a way to screw their former teams. And once again, David Camp puts it in the back of the net. I think in that situation, you have all the momentum tied 4-4. You minimum got to get a point out of it, especially where the Blackhawks are sitting in the standings right now. So it was just really heartbreaking to see that that's how the game ended.
Yeah, especially when you at one point in the game you're down 4-1, you come back and tie this game 4-4. You do want to get a point out of it, and that goal from Camp came with a minute 20 left, so
Yeah.
absolute heartbreaker. And it would have been interesting. You said, Vin, that they can play with the elite teams. It would have been, I was actually really looking forward to this game against the Calgary Flames for that reason, because the Calgary Flames are one of the elite teams. Yeah, they're struggling right now. They've lost, I think they're past 4 actually, but it would have been a really good matchup and test for the Blackhawks to see. We'll see how they do it tonight against the Washington Capitals, but sucks that game got postponed.
Let's not forget the Calgary Flames that lost 4 in a row were missing lots of people due to COVID-19, and then they finally shut it down. You're seeing a similar situation in the NBA with the Chicago Bulls. They lost their most recent 2 games with missing most of their lineup due to COVID. And then once Zach LaVine went down, they were like, all right, we're gonna cancel this shit and get it taken care of. The Flames decided to do the same thing, and their cases are still rising. So it might be a while before we see the Flames again. But I would say the Washington Capitals are in a similar vein. They're near the top of the Metropolitan Division. And I wanted to know from Joey specifically, Frank, you could chime in too as well, but you're not the Leaf hater here. When the Hawks went up 4-1 or down 4-1, the goals were scored by Austin Matthews, William Nylander, and John Tavares, who torch basically everyone. So, yes, of course, the Leafs went up big because they're skill guys. And then, they took their foot off the gas, as the Leafs are known to do. So, do you take any weight off the Blackhawks, knowing that those guys score against everyone?
Yeah, and that's literally how the Leafs get their wins, it seems. Every time that they win, you look at the score sheet, it's either Nylander, Tavares, Matthews, or Marner. And, I'll say it until I'm proven right that when they play a team in a playoff series that figures out how to shut those guys down, it will happen. They're not going to be winning games with Engvall scoring and Wayne Simmons carrying the load. I just don't see it. So, yeah, it kind of takes a little off of it, because I mean, it's clear how good those guys are. Like Austin Matthews has 20 goals. He seems to be the most consistent goal scorer in the NHL. Him and Ovechkin, obviously, because the fact that they were all able to pretty much catch Draisaitl speaks to just their consistency as goal scoring. So,
yep, that's fair. Now tonight against the Washington Capitals, it's a matchup of some of the great players in the last 20 years. You got Alexander Ovechkin, Evgeny Kuznetsov, TJ Oshie, Jonathan Toews, Patrick Kane. But an article went up on thewindycity.com this morning from yours truly about how the Chicago Blackhawks, even though he's their second leading scorer right now, he only has 7 goals and 15 assists. They need more from Patrick Kane. He's only got 2 in his last 10, and it'd be nice to see Patrick Kane really pick up the slack, because in my opinion, the Hawks are such a flawed roster that they need that top 10 level Patrick Kane in order to have a chance at the playoffs. And he hasn't been that. And he's been good. How many players would sign up to have 22 points right now? If Patrick Kane was on the Devils with this production, he'd be leading them in scoring by 10 points. I'm not saying he's having a bad year. I'm just saying he's not having a year with the likes of a Matthews, a Draisaitl, a Connor McDavid, which he has been the last 7 or 8 years. Like last year, I think Patrick Kane came 6th in scoring. 6th isn't 1. He's not the best player in the league anymore. But if he came in 6th in scoring this year, I think the Hawks would win a crap ton more games. So, Joe, I'll start with you. Do you agree with me that Patrick Kane needs to do more?
I don't know about needs to do more, but I'd rather it be more consistent and spread out on a game-to-game basis. Like you said, he has 2 goals in his last 10 games. You'd kind of like to see, his 7 goals and maybe a few more goals because he's just 1 point shy of point per game right now. So a 2-point night tonight, he's point per game. You can't really, expect the player to necessarily do better than that. Yeah, you kind of expect it from Patrick Kane. You want
I
him to have
can
more.
expect it from him.
You want him to have north of 82 points. I get that, but it would be nice for some consistency. 2 goals in his last 10. You'd like to see maybe 7 goals in his last 10 spread out through those 10 games. So that would definitely help this team.
I also think the assist numbers are right where they would be anyway. 15 assists in 22 games. I think if he was north of double-digit goals, then he'd be right there in the mix for top 10 in scoring. So I think the goal scoring is what really needs to pick up for me. The setting up and making every player around him better, that's always going to be there with Patrick Kane as long as he's in his prime, and he still is. But he needs to score more goals. Frank?
Yeah, imagine if he scored 4 goals in those past 10 games, like 5 goals, 6 goals. He doesn't have to be goal per game, but just imagine him scoring 3 or 4 more goals than he already has in those past 10 games. How many points do the Hawks get out of it? Are some of those goals game-winning goals? Do some of those goals lead to them getting a win? You don't know. So obviously you'd like to see him produce more because he can't afford to go cold when the whole team's been a little cold lately. They need to win, and Kane scoring goals will help them lead to wins down the line.
Yeah, but how many of like DeBrinket's 14 goals do you think are set up by Patrick Kane? Where if it was the other way around of Kane scoring, like would DeBrinket not have had the goal? So I don't know. It's tough.
Well, I'll point this out to you. They lost by the Leafs to the Leafs by 1. They beat Montreal. They got smoked by the Rangers. Patrick Kane wouldn't have helped there. They beat the Islanders. They lost to the Rangers the game before that by 1. San Jose, it was 1, and then the empty netter. Calgary, they got killed by. Vancouver, they beat. So if Patrick Kane does have 3 or 4 more goals over that span, he's probably right there with DeBrincat for the team lead.
And I'd also like to see him a little more assists too. He's only got 5 assists in his past 11 games. I'd like to see that at least 7 or 8. And then Joe, then kind of like what you said, he's not the one scoring, but if he gets that assist to DeBrincat, that's an extra goal that they could be using a little more production from him. I don't think 5 assists in 11 games, his past 11 games, is Kane's standards.
Yeah, so you agree. You just want to see more consistency out of him because he was very hot. They came in bunches early in the season.
Yeah, and I think that he needs to be out there to assist more. He needs to score more goals. It's not just goals. I think it's everything. He's a little cold right now.
Yeah, he's ice cold. They need more from him. I don't think because expectations change based on the player. Like I said, who's a middle tier player on the Bruins? DeBrusk. If he had 22 points right now, the Bruins would be planning the parade. But Patrick Kane having 22 points, that's not enough because he's not even top 30 in scoring. Patrick Kane needs to be top 30 in scoring in order for the Chicago Blackhawks to succeed. I'm looking at the points right now. They're so top heavy. Seth Jones leads with 23. Patrick Kane's in second with 22. I do believe Patrick Kane will end up leading the team in scoring just by virtue of the fact that he's a forward and Seth Jones is a defenseman. But Alex DeBrincat's right behind him with 20. And then it falls off to 12 with Brandon Hagel. And Brandon Hagel's second on the team in goal scoring. So he's not even making players around him better. He just shoots. So I don't know. I need more from Patrick Kane, especially if the Blackhawks actually think they have a chance to make the playoffs. I don't think they have a chance to make the playoffs anymore. But if they want to get back in the race, Patrick Kane needs to go on a run.
Yeah, and real quick about that, like you said with the Rangers game, Kane couldn't have helped them in that second Rangers game. That first Rangers game, though, he scored the first goal, and then the other Blackhawks goal was the Brinket set up by Patrick Kane. So,
yeah,
I mean, he did all he could in that game, too.
You know what? That's a fair rebuttal for the Ranger game, but it's to me, Patrick Kane needs to be leading that team every single game, and I need him. He's on pace for like 20 goals, which 20 goals is awesome. But Patrick Kane needs to be going north of 30, flirting with 40.
And Kane's a playmaker too, so he can make those plays to get assists. So not scoring is really not an excuse either.
And to me, what makes Patrick Kane such a great playmaker? It's the fact that he can shoot. Most playmakers people know that Nicholas Backstrom is going to most likely pass. So when he does shoot, it fools the goalie. Patrick Kane is 50-50, man. He's got a top 10 shot and a top 3 pass. So I honestly think that both things are needed for Patrick Kane to succeed, and they're just not getting it right now as much as they would like from Kane. Expectations do change based on your reputation.
Oh, 100%. Like you said, I'd be pumped if Jake DeBrusk had 22 points.
If a Devil had
The
22
Bruins would be in
points, I'd be
first
pumped.
place.
If a Devil had 20 points, they'd be in a playoff spot.
Yeah.
So,
And you mentioned Jake DeBrusk. That's why I called DeBrinket. DE starting off. But
DEB.
he's only two. DeBrusk is only 2 goals behind Patrick Kane. Just gonna throw that out there.
That's disgusting. That's my point. Brandon Hagel's ahead of him. And DeBrusk is probably a more skilled player than Brandon Hagel, but Brandon Hagel's a more successful player.
Yeah. Another player I want to give a shout out to, because it's funny because you were just talking about your fantasy team over the weekend, how you still have Kubalik this whole time. You were saying you should probably drop him by now. He had 4 goals, 4 assists, and then I believe it was the next day he scored for his 5th goal in that Leafs game. So that was kind of cool. We'll see if he can, keep that momentum going for games ahead.
No.
Because you'd like Kubalik to get, be more of a consistent point scorer for this team as well.
Sure, he stunk so far this season. Not good at all.
Yeah.
They need more from Kubalik as well. But I don't think anybody expected Kubalik to maintain his 40-goal-a-season pace after 2 COVID years. I think 20 goals from Kubalik and maybe 40 points would be fair, and he's not even doing that right now. So Kubalik would need to step it up as well. But Patrick Kane, man, I'd like to see more from you. You're still an elite player. I believe in you as much as I could possibly believe in a hockey player. So let's get it going with the goal scoring. A couple more assists wouldn't hurt either. And I'll tell you what, Frankie brought up that he would like to see some more assists. If Patrick Kane started shooting more and converting on his shot just a little bit more, score some more goals, it would make him more lethal in the playmaking game. I think one hand washes the other with a player like Kane. Same thing with Alexander Ovechkin. Why is Alexander Ovechkin able to score so many goals? Well, he's got the all-time greatest shot in his office on the power play. I get all of that. But he's also got north of 600 assists. So if you only play Ovechkin's shot, he's going to hit the back door to TJ Oshie or Kuznetsov, and you're going to go down. So you got to be two-dimensional if you're an elite offensive player. Austin Matthews, same thing. Everybody knows he's got the best wrist shot in the NHL, and it's not really particularly close. But guess what? If he needs to sauce it over a stick to find William Nylander, who can tuck a goal as well as anyone as himself, it makes it fair game.
Yep, I agree.
So, Joe, where are you on the Blackhawks right now?
Like I said, I was really hoping they would be able to win against Calgary, and then you could say it was a successful week, regardless of not getting that point in Toronto. But I don't know. I'm kind of in the exact same spot as I was last week. Yeah, it's easy to say that they went 1-1, but I'm kind of in the exact same spot. And every Hawks fan, there should be a glimmer of hope, because you look over at like what a team like Vancouver is doing, who are pretty much in, if not a worse spot than the Blackhawks. They've won their past 5, and Vancouver just slowly climbing, now 4 points out of a playoff spot themselves. So, I mean, you never know. I'm not out on them. I'm still not out on the Chicago Blackhawks.
Frank?
Here's what I'll say, because I know last week I was in the same position Joey was in. And I'm still hopeful that they could go on some sort of run, because any team is capable of doing so. Yeah. We saw it with the Blues when they were in last place. They ended up winning the Cup. So, like, any team is capable of going on some sort of crazy run. And we talked about, Vin, on what teams we think are, like, dead and what teams are, like, dead. And right now, I wouldn't say they're dead, but they're definitely on, like, life support. And if they're in the same position, I would say come January 5th, that is our first podcast of 2022. If they're 8 points or more out by then I would start to say, well, maybe they are kind of dead for the season. But right now, I think 2 weeks to go to the first of the year, I'll still say they have a shot. We just need to see them go on a run.
I understand. They are currently in last place of the Central Division. The only team worse than them, and they're not going to catch them, is the Arizona. I almost called them the Arizona Diamondbacks. The Arizona Coyotes. The Coyotes are 10 points behind the Blackhawks. They're in Shane Wright territory. But I do think the Blackhawks with being 10 points out of a playoff spot, and the teams ahead of them are all probably better on paper. Yeah, Vancouver's only 4 points out of a playoff spot, and I agree with Joey. They've won 5 in a row. But, I mean, I still think they're going to come crashing down too. This wave isn't going to last forever just because the roster's not good enough, and teams are going to start to figure out the Bruce Boudreau thing. And once they lose 1, they're going to lose 3. So no, I'm not high on Vancouver still either. I love Bruce Boudreau. To me, he's one of the coolest coaches in the NHL, but I'm not in on Vancouver by any means either, just because I don't see them jumping teams like Winnipeg or Dallas or Nashville or Edmonton. So Vegas is starting to really climb up there, and they're only 3 points behind first place with 2 games in hand over the Ducks, which we'll talk about later. So just to me, all these teams that are ahead of them it's not even necessarily just the Hawks. I do think they'll play at a 500 to 550 clip the rest of the season, but because they started 0-9-1, that to me that's it. If you play 500, 600 hockey after starting 0-9-1, you're not going to make it. And it's very hard to play better than 500, 600 hockey. That's kind of where I was. Like, who's playing that type of hockey right now? The Nashville Predators have a 625 points percentage, and then every team in the top 3 of the Pacific and the Central. Well, do you think the Hawks are a top 3 team in the Pacific or the Central? Yes. The only team in the NHL, the only teams in the NHL with 700 winning or points percentage are the Maple Leafs, the Panthers, the Lightning, the Capitals, and the Hurricanes. Do you think the Hawks are as good as them? I don't. And so those teams are playing the best points percentage hockey in the league, and the Hawks would need to do better than that to make the playoffs. So that's kind of why I'm where I am. But like you said, a magical run is not – a team could rattle off 10 in a row. If the Hawks rattle off 10 in a row, they'll still not be in a playoff spot, but they'll only be like 3 or 4 points out, and then you don't know what happens from there. So certainly anything could happen. And I agree with you on that, but it's just not good right now. And losing to the Leafs when you had them at least a point is tough. And I think they're very top heavy, but I do like Derek King as a coach.
Yeah, so do I. I think he's been a stud.
You really don't take anything out of this Vancouver win streak? I know we'll talk about that later in the second, but you don't take anything out of this Vancouver streak?
We'll talk about that later in the second. Yeah, so
I'm not
you got anything?
I'm not gonna say I'm all in on the Canucks, but I mean they've been actually pretty damn entertaining.
No, I got some thoughts on the Canucks. Do you have anything left on the Blackhawks though? It's a good little discussion on the team after they haven't played since Saturday.
There actually was something. First of all, Frank, good job knowing your dates. Just able to rifle off January 5th was the first Wednesday of 2022.
Frankie does his research, man.
He comes prepared. He comes prepared. I think it'd be really fun. I'm looking at the schedule. We should actually go. I know I say this. We say this all the time. We should go to that game the Tuesday before. Give us something fresh to talk about. I've been dying too. I've been dying to see my guy Cale Makar with my own 2 eyes, and he makes his way to town January 4th. I think that would be such a fun time.
Yeah, and we could make content and implement it into the show. I'm actually really down for that. Dude, you're talking to the guy who went to 30-something White Sox games this year. We never go through with it. That's comedy to me.
No, I'm saying I've been wanting to go to a Hawks game, and here we are like 2 months into the season. I still haven't gone.
Well,
I passed by the United Center today.
I've been. I saw the Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, I know. I took a picture of the UC today, and I said, "What's up, Ovi?" Because I know Ovi was in there. It was like right around the time they probably were, they were in there getting ready or whatever. Aldo asks, "What is a Canuck?" It's just a Canadian.
I honestly think it's a Canadian.
I thought it was
and their logo is a whale.
Yeah,
like that's their mascot. I'm pretty sure a Canuck is like a Canadian.
No, yeah, I think I've looked this up before.
I think you can call a Canadian a Canuck, and it's like calling like a person an American or a Yankee.
Yeah, sure? I think so. I think it's like the Yankees.
Can we get some validation?
We could get some validation, but, the Blackhawks, they're dead to me. Frankie and Joey still clinging to hope. I respect it. But speaking of no hope, I think we are going to head on over to period number 2 where we're going to make fun of Joey.
Oh, for the love of salmon sandwiches.
For the love of salmon sandwiches, welcome to period 2 where Frankie and Joey are confused on what a Canuck is, and we do have confirmation that I, as usual, was right. It is a Canadian. It's not derogatory in any way. Obviously, a hockey team wouldn't be named after it. It's like saying a Yankee. Damn Yankees. The Jankies.
Yeah, I think that went without saying. It wasn't derogatory.
Yeah,
Well,
thanks for pointing it out.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what people are going to try and accuse Joey of being. They already think he's evil. So I don't know what to tell you. The New Jersey Devils stink. They blow. And let me tell you something. I don't even want to hear input from either of you right now. I'm just about to go off. This is going to be bad. This is going to be clippable. Get the clip ready. The New Jersey Devils fucking suck. They once again start off hot. The team's looking good. Hey, they're going to make the play. It's all fine and dandy in Newark. And then they just suck. They forget how to play. They can't score a power play goal. They've given up 4 shorthanded goals to their last 2 power play goals. They have the worst percentage in the NHL. They're slightly worse than the Arizona Coyotes in terms of power play. And the Arizona Coyotes are on track to become one of the worst teams who ever played. Ever. They have 12 points in the last 2 months. And the Devils are there with them on the power play. Everyone gets hurt. Everyone gets COVID. The coaching staff sucks. The goaltending's really good, but outside of that, they light them up in front of them. Mackenzie Blackwood was sick yesterday, and Lindy Ruff was like, you know what we'll do during the COVID times? We're going to start Mackenzie Blackwood, and then wonder why he gave up 5 and gets pulled after the second period. It's just a joke. This team stinks, and I'm sick and tired of them.
So how do you really feel about the Devils?
They suck.
Yeah, they're not great. I'm over here looking at the standings while you were going off here, and they're like right in line with the Blackhawks, kind of. They're slightly better than the Blackhawks just because they lose in extra time.
They're only 6 points out of a playoff spot, and they're in second to last place in the division because the New York Islanders figured out a way. No, I don't have any hope. They suck.
I think they could still make it. But
they're not going to make it. They're not better than the Leafs. They're not better than Florida. They're not better than Tampa. They're not better than Washington. They're way not better than Carolina. They're unfortunately not better than the Rangers. The Penguins would smoke them. Detroit's better than them. The Bruins are better than them.
There it is.
The Blue Jackets are better than them. And the Flyers are not better than them, but they still beat them 5-1 yesterday.
Yeah,
the Devils are they're 2-1 this season.
If they could find a way to play consistent.
They've won 2 games in their last 12. They suck. They're done.
Teams going on runs.
The New Jersey Devils stink. They're a joke of an organization. They haven't given their top players what they need to succeed. They're stuck on their own ways. They haven't fired. Mark Recchi should be fired 3 times. He sucks as a power play coach. I don't care what he did. You know what the Bruins have that the Devils don't? Patrice Bergeron and David Pasternak and players who actually play that power play system well. It's just a joke what's gone on with this team. I'm so disgusted with them. I miss Martin Brodeur. I miss Patrick Elias. I miss Ilya Kovalchuk. I miss Zach Parise. This team sucks. And you know what? Cancel the season for the New Jersey Devils. There is no chance that they make the playoffs. I will cut off my pinky if they make the playoffs. There's no chance. They are dead. They are so dead, and I'm sick and tired of – I dedicate my life to this team. I do a pregame for them every single game, and I'm sick and tired of it. I'm sick and tired of them just every single year. Oh, we're going to sign Dougie Hamilton, and he's going to be great, and we're still going to lose. Screw you, Devils. You suck.
It's a bold statement.
It's getting fucking
They're
hot.
trash. They are so trash.
I don't know about you. I don't know about you, Bean, but I'm fucking sweating.
And you know what? If they ever do turn it around and win the Stanley Cup, nobody deserves more credit than me. Because I
canceled them.
I canceled them because they stink this season. I'm gonna watch every game. I get roasted on Twitter for having hope. I'm Mr. Positivity all the time, and people despise me for it. People post screenshots of my tweets on their account and go, "Oh, Vinny, I'm done being that guy. I'm done being that guy."
No fucking hope.
They suck until further notice. I'll be here to tell you when they don't suck anymore because I'm still going to watch every single game. I don't miss a Devils game. I haven't missed a Devils game in like 10 years. And when I have to miss for whatever reasons, family stuff or whatever, I watch it later. I have not missed a Devils game in 10 years. Nobody knows that team more than me. I'm convinced I know it more than the fucking coach. They suck. They're awful. And it wouldn't surprise me if they lose 15 of their next 20 games. They are horrible. They're going to be in the conversation for the lottery again. How many times have we watched the lottery? They won it twice. Who wins the lottery twice? It's disgusting. Yeah, the Oilers. And look at them. They fucking suck too.
Yeah, I'm out on the Oilers.
Devils are going to win the cup, and Vinny will have 9 fingers.
All 3 of our teams are out of a playoff spot. Frank, are you optimistic about the Blackhawks?
I told you how I felt. I think I'm a little optimistic.
I'm optimistic about the Bruins. Negative Nelly over here is the Devils suck. Okay.
Yeah.
The Bruins have played 5 less games than the team ahead of them. They have the highest winning percentage of every team not in a playoff spot, and it's not close. They're the only team out of a playoff spot right now with a positive goal differential. The Bruins are a cup contender. They're you know how like there are fraud good teams? The Bruins are like a fraud bad team. They're 14-9-2. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going to be right in the mix for the cup. There's no chance that you're even comparing. Now, Frankie, on the other hand, his blind optimism, I wish I had that. But guess what? I had that for so long. The Blackhawks won 3 Stanley Cups in the last 10 years. There's no reason for Frankie to be anything other than happy. Even though his team sucks, he can enjoy it because guess what? There's still Patrick Kane. There's still 3 banners. There's 2 statues coming to that rink. They're going to raise 5 banners of numbers in the next 10 years. Even with all the stuff off the ice that's a disgusting disgrace, their on-ice play has been elite for a long time, and they just now are starting to suck. And so Frankie's blind optimism about the Blackhawks making the playoffs, he deserves it. I don't need to do that. The Devils haven't been good since they made it to the Stanley Cup final in 2012. They've made the playoffs once and only won 1 game. And it took Taylor Hall having the unlikeliest MVP season in the history of the sport.
Well, we'll use that as a transition. Taylor Hall is no longer on the New Jersey Devils.
No, he sucks on the Bruins, too. I don't want to hear about Taylor Hall. He's their 8th best player.
MVP seasons, but he is on the Boston Bruins, who are currently 1 point out of the playoff.
Hate the Devils. Not watching anymore.
So I'll just transition myself here. 2 milestones for this team, and over the past week, Patrice Bergeron became 4th all-time in assists at 554 assists for Patrice Bergeron. The only people he trails are Bobby Orr, John Busick, and Raymond Bourque. And just to give you a little nod, the hate. Just to give a little nod to how many assists Raymond Bourque has with the Boston Bruins, Patrice Bergeron isn't even halfway there. He sits at 1,111 assists. Probably not going to catch that man. And then another milestone over this past week. Let me find it to give you the exact numbers. Bruce Cassidy has moved up to 5th all times in wins. I remember when they hired him as the interim head coach to take over Claude Julien, who is the winningest head coach in Bruins history at 419. Bruce Cassidy is climbing the ranks. He's currently sitting at 208 wins, right behind Don Cherry, Milt Schmidt, Art Ross, and like I said, Claude Julien. So some cool milestones for the Boston Bruins, who we're just going to delete yesterday. Yesterday never happened. They never played the Vegas Golden Knights. That did not happen.
The Devils' next opponent.
Yeah, good luck with that, because I saw yesterday firsthand the Vegas Golden Knights are good. They're back ever since Max Pacioretty came back. He has scored a goal in every single game. He's currently on a career high, franchise high, 7-game goal scoring streak for Max Pacioretty. He's got tons of assists in there as well. Mark Stone is awesome. That Vegas Golden Knights team is the real deal. They beat the Boston Bruins yesterday 4-1. But right before that, the Bruins were playing the best hockey of their season. They had 5 points with all collecting a point. They had just got 5 possible points out of 6, or 5 points out of a possible 6 points on that Western Canada road trip where they played the Vancouver Canucks. They beat the Edmonton Oilers and they beat the Calgary Flames. And you can tell Brad Marchand returned against the Canucks in that game, and you can tell how good this lineup is with Brad Marchand. He runs this offense, and now he's out with COVID, and it was clear that he was missing yesterday because him and Craig Smith were taken out of the lineup. And it just leaves so many holes. The Bruins are about to go through a rough patch, I believe, if they don't get some depth scoring from guys like Jake DeBrusk, Eric Holla, Nick Foligno looking for his first goal. But honestly, the Bruins have been good lately. We'll see how they deal with this COVID outbreak that they seem to have gotten from. Hopefully it's not too bad. But the Calgary Flames, you just played against them, and now they're on pause. You're hoping the Bruins season doesn't get put on pause, but they're already so many games behind. But then again, would that be good for them? I'm going to go ahead and argue it would be, because I'd rather them not play right now without Brad Marchand than have to play games with.
And Patrice Bergeron.
Does Patrice Bergeron have COVID now?
Yep.
I'll see that. That's how busy my day has been. Way to just ruin my mood. Cancel the Bruins.
Yeah, right.
No, honestly, I am hoping that they just honestly put a pause on their season. Let them play. Let them continue next week. The next game for the Calgary Flames is next Tuesday against the Anaheim Ducks. I'd like to see the Bruins do something similar, because they missed too many more guys. Like, it's just not going to be fair. There's so many games behind, and now they're expected to play these games without their best players. So that's where we stand on that. Goaltending has been great. Linus Ullmark and Jeremy Swayman have actually formed to be quite the duo in the NHL.
Congratulations.
Who are the you never even talked about the upcoming opponents for the New Jersey Devils?
Why
You
would
said
I want
Vegas?
to do that? They're going to get smoked by Vegas tomorrow. They'll get killed by the Red Wings on Saturday, and then they'll get dummied by the Pittsburgh Penguins on Sunday. 3 straight Devils losses on the docket for this week.
Well, there you go. Bruins have 4 on tap. The New York, all on the, or 3 of them on the road, 1 at home. The New York Islanders, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Ottawa Senators, and then they come back home next Tuesday for the Carolina Hurricanes. I hope they don't play any of them until that Carolina game. Don't send this team to the Islanders' new arena. Don't send them to Montreal if they got COVID. Let them just take a pause, take another 3 games, behind. Who cares? They'll make it up later. I don't want them to just be spreading COVID, and I don't want them to play games without their best players.
Yep. Fuck COVID, fuck the Devils, and fuck you. Frank, thoughts on the Devils and Bruins?
I think I told you the Devils need to just play consistent. I don't think they're out of it. I can't sit here and not think the Hawks are out of it and then think the Devils are out of it when the Devils they have a less gap to fill. They just gotta stay.
I think the Hawks have a better chance than the Devils.
Oh, shut up.
They just gotta stay consistent. As far as the Bruins,
10 points out.
They're only 1 point out, the Bruins, and
No, the Hawks are 10
I know you're
points
talking
out.
about the Hawks. I'm transitioning to the Bruins. You keep going on with your rant. The Bruins just need to keep their foot on the pedal. Okay, that's all I gotta say. There's nothing else to say. Keep the foot on the pedal. I think they've been playing okay. 1 win, they're in the playoffs. So
I'm calling out Spaghetti Man. I need more from my guy. I need more from David Pastrnak. He hasn't been necessarily the David Pastrnak that you need to be a playoff team. I'm calling out Spaghetti Man. I know he watches. Start scoring more goals.
Maybe I'll listen to Barbie Girl on the way out tonight.
He needs all the good vibes he can get. I'll real quick say his stats right now. Give me just 4 seconds. David Pastrnak right now in 25 games played has 8 goals, 13 assists. You said you need more from Patrick Kane. Patrick Kane is arguably having a better year right now than David Pastrnak. I need more from Spaghetti Man.
The points per game favor Pastrnak more, but
no, he has 21 points in 25 games. Kane has 23 points in 24 games. Math isn't your strong suit.
Did Kane miss some time? Or have the Hawks only played 24 games?
Kane, I don't think Kane he had missed.
Kane
They
hasn't
didn't
missed
play
any.
24 games. I know they played more than
They
that.
played 27.
Yeah.
So either Joey's wrong or Patrick Kane missed 5 games. Or 4
Patrick
games.
Kane has 23 games played and he has 22 points.
Then he missed 4 games.
Games. I think he did. I think there was a time early in the season he missed games.
So therefore he is 1 point away from being point per game. Pasta is.
It was right before Colleton got fired, if I remember correctly. I do remember now, actually. Yes, he missed a game against Vancouver, I want to say. But I can't remember for sure. So, hey, one of the all-time great goalies of the last 20 years has been a guy. We haven't talked about him that much on this show because during our show's life, he had been rehabbing from injury and not really part. Yeah, we haven't seen him play. But I know that for a long time, me and Joey specifically, Frank, you could chime in as well, we've been big Ben Bishop fans. And Ben Bishop was one of the great goalies of the past, I said 20 years, but really it's about 10. He started his career with the Ottawa Senators and things didn't go as well there. But once he was picked up by the Tampa Bay Lightning, they went all the way to the Stanley Cup final. And those of you who might remember, the Lightning had Ben Bishop in net while they were molding Andrei Vasilevsky and developing him. And they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final where They lost to the Chicago Blackhawks in 6 games, but Bishop was amazing. And he was just so good for so long. I mean, Vezina Trophy conversations, and probably going to come short of the Hall of Fame just because of lack of time, service, all that kind of stuff. But for a long time, he looked like one of those types of goalies, and it was very hard to beat him. So from me specifically, congratulations to Ben Bishop on retirement after a great career. I'm sorry that your knee injury was in I don't even know the word I'm looking for. Irreparable. He rehabbed. He really tried. And you know what? You rarely see players give the effort to coming back that Bishop did. He tried so hard to make it back this season. The Stars carried 4 goalies, including him, while they let him try and come back. And, once he announced his retirement, they put Hudobin on waivers, and now they're running with Ottinger and, of course, Braden Holtby, who's having a really good year so far. So shout out to Dallas Stars, Ben Bishop, all-time great with the Tampa Bay Lightning as well. So great career from him. And Frank, we'll start with you.
I'm going to go on a little bit of a rant about Ben Bishop in a good way. I got a lot to say about him. I'm the stat guy, so I'm going to go over some of his career stats.
Good, because everything I'm going to say is just off the cusp, so go ahead.
Well, I just want to say congrats, Ben Bishop, on a great career. Like Vinny says, I'm sorry it had to end the way that it did, because I knew you had more playing time in you, but I'm just honored to have gotten to witness you, and it's been a privilege to watch you your whole career since I've started hockey. It's been great. And everybody knows how great of a goalie he really is, right? I mean, and the numbers don't lie, too. We look at his career games.
Frank, I'm going to cut you off for 1 second. Your audio is, very strange sounding. So I'm going to wait for it to come back. And, okay, I think you're good now.
Good?
It was fine for me. I wonder if that was just on your end.
Oh, maybe it was just on my end. I'm very sorry about that if that's the case, but go ahead.
So yeah, I don't have how many career games he was written down, but it was in the 400 somewhere, but that's not important. What's important here is that in those 400 and X amount of games, he had 222 wins, 127 losses, and he had a 232 goals against average, a 921 save percentage, and 33 shutouts. And that was all in the regular season. You look at that numbers and you have a goalie who's 232 goals against average in your career. That is freaking phenomenal. Those are great stats. 33 shutouts, amazing. 921 save percentage. I believe that's pretty good too for a career. That's outstanding. Then you want to look at his postseason, what he's done in the postseason. He has 52 games played in the postseason, 29-21 win-loss record with the 227 goals against and a 924 save percentage. His postseason is better than his regular season, and that's hard to do. And that could also be due to the sample size is way less amount of games. But he's an even better goalie when it comes to the playoffs. And we know in sports that some players are worse when it comes to the playoffs. Look at Clayton Kershaw. He's not a playoff pitcher. He stinks in the playoffs. He's still a phenomenal pitcher and one of the greatest pitchers, but he stunk in the playoffs. So the fact that Ben Bishop was able to have an even better postseason career along with 5 shutouts is amazing. And interesting fact, too, you want to know his worst season stats as a starter, which came in the 2019-2020 season. He had a 250 goals against and a 920 save percentage, which if that's the worst season of your career as a starter, then you're doing something right.
That might win the Vezina Trophy in a lot of seasons.
Great goalie. So happy that he got to play an amazing career. I know how much the game of hockey meant to him. And all I could say is congrats on retirement, but I'm sorry it had to go down the way it did.
Yeah, Frank, you gave some, amazing numbers. And I knew Ben Bishop, and what I was going to kind of ramble about was how we essentially, with all the time he's missed due to injury, I feel like we got robbed out of seeing an elite Hall of Fame goalie emerge. Because I think we'd be talking about him amongst, we just saw Ryan Miller retire, Henrik Lundqvist, Carey Price, Jonathan Quick, Andrei Vasilevsky, some of those elite goalies that we've seen in our era of watching hockey. I think Ben Bishop's name would have been right there with everyone. He was that good. Then I think of you when we saw that we went to that Lightning game early in the season. He wasn't the Lightning number 1 goalie, I don't believe. Anders Lindback had started the season that year They opened up against the Boston Bruins, and then 2 days later, they played the Chicago Blackhawks in Chicago, where Ben Bishop made his season debut, and we sat right next to Limback on the bench. And I remember looking at Ben Bishop like, this guy is huge. He's probably one of the tallest goalies in the league while he played, and he was awesome. He ended up, I believe he beat the Hawks that game in a shootout. And then I don't think anyone mentioned this, but he had a little stint in Los Angeles, traded from the Tampa Bay Lightning. And when that happened, Vin, I was with you. We were by our uncle's house. I remember the day vividly. We were like worried. Okay, the Kings just got Ben Bishop. They now have like the best duo in the league in Jonathan Quick, who I think was dealing with some injuries at the time, and Ben Bishop. And then that's kind of when the Ben Bishop injury started. He wasn't able to stay healthy. And then, but when he was healthy, especially with Dallas, this dude's stats were unreal. A goalie that everyone needed to have in fantasy. It's just he was always on the IR, and it ended up being the death of his career. So a great career. I feel like we as hockey fans got screwed out of seeing more from him. Arguably could have been, by the time he retired, had he been healthy his whole career, arguably could have been the best American goalie to ever play. That's what I think, and that's how highly I think of Ben Bishop as a goaltender.
Absolutely. Yeah, it stinks that it ended up being that way. I know the day you're talking about when he was traded to the Los Angeles Kings, we were playing a certain card game. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's crazy. So Frank, very good stuff with the statistics and stuff. I'm sorry I cut you off. I guess my thing was just making a weird sound, and I didn't want it to ruin all your stats, but I'm glad you were able to get them out. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you for the compliment.
Oh, of course. Great stuff as always, boys. So Maple Leafs, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay Lightning. These are the three teams that lead the Atlantic Division. Right behind them is, of course, the Detroit Red Wings and Boston Bruins, trying to fight to stay in a playoff spot themselves. But out of these three teams that are emerging as the top three in the Atlantic Division, who is the best? Joe?
I think the Tampa Bay Lightning are the best when healthy. They've dealt with injuries. The fact that they're here with some of the injuries that they've had to deal with this year, missing Braden Point for a notable amount of time still, Nikita Kucherov still out. I think on paper and, once everyone's healthy, they will prove to be the best team once again. But the Florida Panthers, to me, are one of the most complete teams in the NHL right now. They have been all year, and I think they're going to consistently be that way for the rest of the year. And the Leafs just are very, very top heavy, probably the most top heavy bunch. If you take the top 5 best players on each team, the Leafs have the best out of all of them, but it's about depth wins you games, a complete team effort wins you games. And I think the Florida Panthers out of these three give you that.
All right, Frank?
I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Lightning just because I think they're a very well-rounded team, like Joey said, when healthy. And the team that wins the cup is the team that is best well-rounded. You look at statistics on the best teams in the league every year, who wins the President's Trophy. They don't always win the cup. It's like, 8 or 9 out of the past 50-something President's Trophy winners have won the Stanley Cup, because it doesn't always go to who's the best team in the NHL. If you want to win a cup, you have to go by what team is best well-rounded. And out of the three, Tampa Bay, in my opinion, when healthy, are the best well-rounded team, followed by Florida and Toronto in third.
Fair enough. I disagree with both of you, as I'm sure Joey expected. I think the Tampa Bay, I put them third. I'm going Florida, Toronto, Tampa. So I think Florida, they were my Stanley Cup champion in the preseason. I'm still sticking with it. But I do like Vegas and Toronto. They have those, and Minnesota. I would say those are my Mount Rushmore right now. But I think Florida's good, and they're winning without Barkov. And Barkov came back, and now he's back on IR, so we'll see what happens there. But, yeah, I'm all in on the Florida Panthers, and I hope the Toronto Maple Leafs prove everyone wrong in the postseason. But I don't care what place they come in. But if I had to pick one of these three that will end up winning the division, I'm going to stick with the Florida Panthers.
Yeah, and credit to you for throwing Vegas out there. I know we're talking about these three top Atlantic teams, but honestly, if we're talking as a league right now, this Vegas Golden Knights team I think is better than ever. Yeah, it doesn't show that way in the standings, but that's some scary stuff brewing over in the desert.
I agree, and Jack Eichel's only getting better and better, and they're not going to go. We'll get to the Olympics in a little bit, but starting to think they're not going to go to the Olympics. So Jack Eichel's focus will be the Vegas Golden Knights and adding a guy like that to this team. They're not the Golden Misfits anymore, certainly not. So it'll be interesting. I hope they play one of these top teams in the Atlantic Division. But a team that's going to try and stop the Vegas Golden Knights from getting to where they need to go is the Anaheim Ducks, who every show we seem to be talking about them more and more. Like, hey, do you think? At first it was like, hey, this is a really nice start. Then it was like, hey, Troy Terry and Trevor Zegras are really fun to watch. Now it's like, oh, Anaheim, we're at Thanksgiving and they're in a playoff spot. We're talking a wild card for Anaheim. This is awesome. And then last week it was like, oh, they're in a division spot. This is nice. And then here we are on December 15th, 2021, and the Anaheim Ducks, they've played a couple extra games. I think Vegas will catch them. But as of right now, they sit in first place of the Pacific Division. Frank, the Ducks.
Well, the Ducks are in first place, obviously, like you said, for now. I don't think they'll stay there, only because they're them and the Canucks are the only two teams in the Pacific Division that have played 30 games. So there's a lot of opportunities coming up for teams behind them to catch them, and some of the elite teams are not that far behind them. And unfortunately, John Gibson went down with an injury. I don't know if he'll be back soon. I didn't really get the injury report on him. So that kind of hurts him a tad, but Stellaris he's been really good. So, I mean, he's a great backup to have. I think he could hold the weight for a little bit till Gibson comes back. But, yeah, Ducks are rolling, but I don't see them being in first place at the end of the year.
Joseph?
Yeah, Stolarz has been good. He's got 9 games played, 5 wins, 2 losses, 1 overtime. Last game, he got a 2.26 goals against with a 9.3 save percentage. He got his first shutout recently against the Buffalo Sabres where they won 2-0. And I believe he started in this Pittsburgh game. Let me just triple check that. That's where John Gibson went down that game. John Gibson made 15. So he gave up the 1 goal, and then Stellaris came in and made 13 saves. But yeah, the Ducks' next 2 games are 2 games that they should win against Seattle and Arizona. So, these are teams that you should beat. And I personally think that the only thing that will stop this Anaheim Ducks team from winning the division is the Vegas Golden Knights continuing to be as good as they can be. Other than that, I'm all in on the Ducks. I think they are one of the best teams in the league. They can win the cup, and as long as it's not against the Boston Bruins, I will be so happy. I will buy all that shit with so much pride. I am all in on this team. I love them. So much fun.
I think the cup is pushing it. They're not one of the cup contenders for me. They're a regular season up-and-coming team for me. But I am very proud of the Ducks and the way they played so far this season, and I hope they continue to do so. Because if they did make a miraculous run towards the cup, I'll be right there with Joey cheering them on.
I think it's very possible. I think they are a great, great mix of veteran, guys who've been there and young studs up and coming, going to be big problems for every team in the league.
They're kind of big and mean, too, which is always hard to beat in the postseason.
Yeah, and I'm also out on the Oilers. I think they stink.
Yeah, I don't know about that. When McDavid and Draisaitl are going, they're as good as anyone. But speaking of McDavid, they played against Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs yesterday in a battle between probably the 2 best players in the NHL, in my opinion. And Matthews got the better of McDavid, but it's also a team game. But, your team winning is technically you getting the better of them. Like, Matthews was a happier man than McDavid last night in that building. So it was a really good game. I watched the entire thing. I enjoyed it a lot. Once the Devils were down 5-1, I booted them to the computer because they fucking suck. And then I moved Maple Leafs Oilers to the big TV, and it was a very, very, very fun game to watch. And I love watching these 2 make plays. McDavid had a play. He didn't score, but if he did, it would have been one of those goals that broke the internet. And it was like he dangled through 5 or 6 Leaf players. 5 or 6. There's not 6 players out there. 3 or 4 Leafs players, and he put it right onto Campbell's pads. But it's one of those things where it's like he has a chance every single time he's on the ice, and it's just whether or not the goalie makes the save that keeps him from having 100 points or 200 points. So it was a great game to watch. But Joe, I ask you. Maple Leafs, Oilers, McDavid, Matthews. What do you like in that matchup? Who do you think is the better team? And do you think Matthews has a chance to assert himself into that 1B conversation with McDavid?
100%. I think Matthews is Probably, I don't want to say he's as consistent as a guy like Alex Ovechkin because Ovechkin's literally been doing it for 15 years. And we'll see how Matthews' game changes over the years if he's, a consistent 50 goal scorer. Because, yeah, Ovi's a consistent 50 goal scorer. I honestly believe he can be. I think Austin Matthews is definitely right up there with McDavid for the best players in the world. And I think the Leafs you're going to love hearing me say this. I think the Leafs are worlds better than the Edmonton Oilers. And they proved it yesterday. The Edmonton Oilers, outside of Leon Draisaitl and Connor like when you have two guys who each are at a combined, what are they? Combined 100 points already for those two guys. Like,
Yeah.
this team should be doing a little better. They've lost their past 6 straight games. I don't know. The Oilers just are not having it.
Frank?
So yeah, to answer that, the Leafs are a way better team, and yes, Matthews is right up there with Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, Nathan McKinnon for the best players in the world.
Frank?
Yeah, I think Toronto's the better of the two teams. Last night we saw Matthews score 2 goals, and the Oilers were McDavid and Draisaitl were held off the scoring sheet as a whole. Kind of surprising. And I ultimately don't think that either of these teams will be cup contenders just for the way you see if teams figure out how to shut down their top guys, what are they going to do? I mean, the Oilers can't always rely on McDavid and Draisaitl. We saw it last night. They don't get on the score sheet. They lose 5-1. Seriously? But look what happens when Matthews gets on the score sheet. And I'm sure Nylander assisted on some of those goals yesterday. So when their top guys are going, what are you going to do? Like I said earlier, to win the cup, you need to have a well-rounded team. You look at when the Hawks won the cup, they were getting goals by Dave Bolin, Brian Bickle. I mean, you need other players to chip in. You just can't always rely on your top guys. But I think the Maple Leafs are the better team as of right now. But I just don't see either team doing anything this postseason.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and these Oilers lost. I said they're on a 6-game losing streak. One of them was on the road, and it was the very first one of this losing streak against Seattle. The rest have all been at home. Currently on a 5-game home losing streak. They play tomorrow at home against the Columbus Blue Jackets to close out a 6-game homestand. They have the chance to literally go 0-7 in their past 7 and 0-6 on their homestand.
Who's a better player, Leon Draisaitl or Austin Matthews?
Leon Draisaitl.
Frank?
I guess statistics would say Draisaitl, but I think Matthews is the better goal scorer.
Yeah, I think Joey's on glue. Draisaitl's a great player. He's a top 5 player. He'd be very good on another team. I don't know if he'd have 50 points because let me tell you something. Those McDavid Draisaitl power play points, they definitely help each other out with the points. But Matthews, he could play anywhere, anyone, and he's scoring 40 goals minimum.
I think the same about Draisaitl. I think it's disrespectful to Leon Draisaitl to say he's only got this as good as he is because he plays.
I don't say that. I'm not saying he's as good as he is. I think the production is helped along with.
If you were to pluck him on the Columbus Blue Jackets, he would still have 50 points.
I don't think so. No,
I do.
I think he'd have 40.
Maybe 40. Okay, he'd still be second in the league.
Okay, maybe. I think I'd rather have Matthews on my team. I would take Matthews over Draisaitl.
I'm taking Leon Draisaitl.
All right. I think that's a fair. I think it's a fair argument because I think I'd rather McKinnon than Draisaitl as well. But that's a little more of a debate for me. I think Draisaitl's the 3rd best player in the NHL. I got Matthews 2nd.
I'd rather McKinnon over both of them.
Oh.
Yeah, I think I'd take McKinnon.
See, I would go. I would go.
It's not all about points for me. Sometimes
that's what I'm saying about Matthews.
I know,
and
I get that, If you have that,
and I do think Draisaitl would be one of the leagues. He got better when McDavid got hurt and ended up winning the MVP. I know how good Draisaitl is without McDavid. We literally saw it in the last full season with no COVID was 2018-19. Draisaitl won the MVP. Or no, was that the year with COVID, with shutdown?
Yeah, I don't know. You're the memory guy.
It was that year. It was the COVID year where it got canceled. McDavid got hurt, and Draisaitl carried the load the rest of the way. And I don't know. I think Draisaitl's very good. He's top 3. I would probably go McDavid, Matthews, Draisaitl, McKinnon. But that's a conversation for another day. I just wanted to add that in and ask about Draisaitl versus Matthews. But we alluded to it earlier. Bruce Boudreau, new coach of the Vancouver Canucks. They've been 5-0 since making his way over there to British Columbia. And I don't think it's sustainable. Do I think they're a better team with him as the coach? Absolutely. I don't think it's arguable. They're literally 5-0 since he took over. But do I think that it's sustainable where they'll just win 5 in a row consistently and, make it 8 of 10 or 12 of 15? No, I don't. Their roster's not good enough. I sold them short going into the season. I'm still selling them short. Do I think they'll make the playoffs? No. Do I think they'll be better than they were? Yes. So that's where I'm at on the Vancouver Canucks. And Joe, I know you had some thoughts on it.
I love Bruce Boudreau. I think he's such an
So do
awesome
I.
guy.
I think he's the most likable coach in the NHL.
I would love to agree with that because you just watched him on what was he on before he took the coaching job?
It was NHL Network. It was NHL Network. There's a reason a guy like that goes on NHL Network. You need a personality in order to do that. So
Yeah.
I truly think he's the most likable coach in the NHL.
Yeah, and even like when he was doing panel on the NHL Network, like, you could just tell how fun he is, how much he loves hockey. He was a prolific point scorer in the NHL as well. It's very rare you see a guy who is successful in the league be as successful as a head coach.
Yep.
Usually head coaches were mediocre hockey players.
Grinders.
Exactly. They understand the game good, but they necessarily weren't able to do it. Those are the best kind of coaches. Bruce Boudreau is one of those rare cases where he was great on the ice and he's great at coaching. And we're seeing it right now with the Vancouver Canucks. Best start to take over a new team in his career. He's 5-0, like you said, in his first 5 games. One of those wins was against the Bruins, so he's fucking good. The only thing is all of those games were at home. We'll see how he plays on the road tomorrow, or how the team plays under him on the road tomorrow against the San Jose Sharks. That should be a good one. And just another nod about him, not as a coach or a player. I always think of the story when our uncle met him back when he was the coach of the Anaheim Ducks, and you could see firsthand, he said, how much of a likable guy he was, just a friendly guy. And you look at that picture down there, he just is a happy human. So I'm so happy. I'm not going to say I like the Canucks because I really don't like the Canucks at all, but
they're probably the most brutal fan base in the NHL.
Yeah, and he said in the post-game interview, I believe it was after he won his 4th straight, he said, I wish they would stop singing that silly song. And I don't know if you know what the Canucks fans do. They sing, Bruce, there it is.
Yeah. I heard about that.
In the crowd, and he should have never said anything in the post-game interview because yesterday, when they were up late in the game, as the clock was ticking down against the Columbus Blue Jackets, the building was going crazy saying, Bruce, there it is. It was honestly hilarious.
Yeah, so. And before Frankie goes, you made me think of something. So like most coaches are like former grinders or like third pair defensemen or third line forwards. They could have been okay players, but most of them weren't superstars. And I think that's because like superstars think the game just a little bit differently. Their hands are able to do things that most people can't do. So when you expect that of your players, it doesn't always translate because like if you're Wayne Gretzky trying to teach someone how to be you, that's not possible. But someone like Joel Quenneville can help teach someone how to become him because he wasn't that good. And you need that in order to like elevate your game and become a better player. So that's why I kind of think it is the way it is. But Frank, your thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks?
I mean, how can you not like a guy with look at his smile?
Yeah, seriously.
Look at him. He's cheesing from ear to ear. How could you not like and respect a guy that's like that? I do think, besides the Arizona Coyotes, of all the teams we talked about today, that the Canucks are in the worst position, even though they're 5-0, because, like I said earlier, in the Pacific Division and in the NHL, they are tied with the most games played. Look at him. I mean, look, he's just a happy guy. He's just a great guy.
He's staring at you. He's kind of in the perfect
because he knows that, but
he likes LSU.
And he might. Now you made me lose my train of thought. I was rolling, and no, but they have 30 games played, which is tied for the most games in the league, and they're still not in a playoff spot, which is why it's very hard to make up ground when you don't have any games in hand and you're still trying to catch teams. Now it's a problem, and that's why I think they have like the hardest time, and they're the team I don't have the most confidence in out of all the teams we talked about. Obviously, the Coyotes suck; they stink, 12 points, but disregard them. I think the Canucks are in a really bad position, and I think the 5-0, it's like the tip of the iceberg, but you don't really know what's underneath the whole thing until you like actually see it. So yeah, they're like, oh, 5-0 is nice, but they're still in a really bad position.
Let's hope it's 9-0. Because they play the Sharks, then the Leafs at home on Saturday, and then the Coyotes, and then the Sharks again by the time we do a show next Wednesday. So if they're 9-0 by that time, I mean, I have another 8.
I'll start to believe if that becomes the case. I mean, I'm rooting for it because I love Bruce Boudreau. He was the coach of the Minnesota Wild for a long time, and he had Zach Parise and all that. So, I'll always have a little soft spot in my heart for Bruce Boudreau. Now, when I say he's the most likable coach in the NHL, I've made it very, very clear on this. I've made it very, very clear on this show and my Devils pregame who I think the best coach in the NHL is. I believe it's Mike Sullivan of the Pittsburgh Penguins, but like Bruce Boudreau, he's like one of the great coaches who ever lived. So, and if anybody's ever interested in learning a little bit more about Bruce Boudreau, a very fun fact about him, I don't know every little detail. I would have to go back and read the story. It comes across my timeline every year on the anniversary. You click it every now and then, like maybe every 3 years, you'll click on it, refresh your memory. I might look it up again after the show now that it's on my mind. He had a ticket onto the flight that ended up crashing into one of the towers on 9/11. And something caused him to miss the flight that day. So we were very, very close to never being able to be a part of the fortunes that came with knowing Bruce Boudreau as a coach. It's a very, very, very interesting story. And that anniversary means a lot to him. So he's a good dude. And, we're happy he's back in the NHL. The Canucks are a great story so far. I wish I had a little more faith in them. I hope they give me a little more faith by the time we have our next show. I reserve the right to change that opinion.
Yeah, and we if you just listen or watch any one of our shows within the past 3 weeks, you can tell how much of Ducks guys we are. And I believe it all starts with those Ducks teams that he coached for us in our time, becoming hockey fans. That's what I think of Bruce Boudreau.
Absolutely.
The Ducks with Corey Perry and Ryan Getzlav.
Sure, I remember him with the Caps too. But you're right, the Ducks were certainly I think they're in both of our top 10s. I don't know about Frankie, but they're certainly in both of our top 10s. And those games with Getzlaff and Perry and Kessler, and they had Freddie Anderson and Gibson as the goalie duo, and they had players like Kevin Bieksa and stuff like that. So it was a lot of fun to watch those teams back in the day.
Yep.
So let's have a little bit of holiday Christmas fun. Maybe not quite as much as next Wednesday. But I think we're going to have some fun in period number 3. And, gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to period number 3, where we're going to play another game. Last week we played a game. We had a little bit of fun with it. And those of you who know me, I'm a big fan of ESPN 1000. On Crosstown Crosstalk last week, you can check it every Thursday at 2 p.m., we had Randy Merkin, one of the executive producers over there at ESPN 1000. And on my favorite show on the network, Cap and J Hood, formerly known as Cap and Company, they played it on both shows. They play a game called Shot or No Shot. And on Shot or No Shot, the MC reads a prompt and then asks you guys, shot or no shot. And I'll chime in with my opinion too. Don't you worry. I don't hesitate to give an opinion, but I will let each of you go first. We'll start with Joey on the first question, and then we'll rotate each question who goes first.
It would be interesting if we had a shot of whiskey or something, and if I agree with it, I take the shot. If not, I don't.
I have 5 prompts here, so you could have as many as 5 shots if that were the case.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, but you have a hockey game tonight. You don't want to do that.
Is it Ruppelmans?
Being with the Ruppelmans. Shout out to Ruppelmans. I think I'm saying Ruppelmans.
Rumpelmans.
Is it Rump?
I don't even know what it is.
Is it Rump or Rupp?
I
thought it was
Mike Rupp?
Rupp.
Is it Mike Rupp?
I thought it was Rupp.
Speaking of NHL Network. So, guys, welcome to Shot or No Shot, where I will ask you the question, you'll answer shot or no shot. And Joe, I'll start with you. The Pittsburgh Penguins have been rolling. They got Sidney Crosby back from COVID, the wrist injury, all that kind of stuff. He's on a roll now after somewhat of a slow start from his return. And they're getting Evgeny Malkin back from injury in short order. So, Joseph, I ask you, shot or no shot, when Malkin returns, the Pittsburgh Penguins are Stanley Cup contenders?
Shot. Shot.
You're allowed to give a little bit of an explanation too, doofus.
Shot. I believe they've actually done their fair share this season without him and without Sidney Crosby for a notable time, dealing with injury and COVID. Now add Sidney Crosby's been back for a little bit now. Add him back. Add Malkin back. Casey DeSmith seems to be finding it. Tristan Jarry has been unreal. DeSmith just had a shutout recently, I believe. I mean, he might have started that Anaheim game where they beat him 1-0. Either way, the goaltending's been there as of late. Evgeny Malkin coming back is just nothing but good news for this team. So I think an already overproducing from what I believe they were at the beginning of the season, Pittsburgh Penguins are just going to only get better. So shot for me.
Frank.
I'm going to go ahead and say shot as well, just because the Penguins will be the Penguins, you know. They kind of have that feel of like when the Hawks were winning 3 cups in 6 seasons. Like some of the years didn't think the Hawks may win it, but if the Penguins, when they're healthy, get their players back, they're just going to do Penguin-like things. And I could just see that team really clicking going forward. Now, do I think there are other teams better than them? Yeah, but I didn't want to say no shot because I do think there's a small part of me that thinks that they could go on a playoff run. And we've seen in the past, Crosby, Malkin, they're very playoff-oriented players. I have to go with shot.
Very interesting. I predicted both of you to say no shot, and I was wrong. So
Yeah,
I agree with you both. I will always have faith in the Pittsburgh Penguins. They're probably my 3rd favorite team. They're like tied with the Leafs for my 3rd favorite team behind the Devils and Bruins. So you know how much I love my Penguins. When Gino comes back, I'm going to be all in on them, and I just can't wait to see that Pittsburgh Penguins team with a full roster. We'll see if they're able to make some noise in the postseason. Joe, you were going to add something or no?
I was going to say how the team leading that division is the Washington Capitals, who we'll get a good look at tonight. They're sitting at 40 points. They have 28 games played. I do think the Capitals are slightly better, but you never know. You go on runs. There's still a lot of hockey to be played left. The Penguins still have a lot of games versus the Capitals left, and they're only 5 points behind them sitting in that top wildcard spot. So I think any one of those top 4 teams that are currently sitting in the Metropolitan, any one of those 4 can win the division. I think the Penguins are right there in that race.
Fair enough. And you brought up the Washington Capitals. Alexander Ovechkin is tied with Austin Matthews for the 2nd most goals in the National Hockey League with 20. They trail Leon Draisaitl, who has 23. Ovechkin trails only McDavid and Draisaitl for the scoring lead, the outright scoring lead, not just goals, just the total points. So I ask you guys, Frank, we'll start with you. Shot or no shot? If Alexander Ovechkin ends up passing Leon Draisaitl for the league goal scoring lead, he will win the Hart Trophy.
Yeah, shot. Absolutely. We talk about how much Ovechkin is just a pure goal scorer. So if he ends up passing him, well, he's not going to slow down, especially almost halfway through the season. I just don't see it happening. Alex Ovechkin is too good of a goal scorer, so I'm going to go with shot.
You know I'm talking about the Hart Trophy, right? The MVP?
I thought you said, oh, no. But I still go with
if he wins the Rocket Richard, does he win the Hart Trophy?
Oh, I thought you said will he win the Rocket Richard?
It's not saying whether or not like he does win it or he has. Oh. Do you think there's a shot he wins the Hart Trophy if he ends up leading the league in scoring and goal scoring?
No shot. I really don't. Alex Ovechkin doesn't chip in on assists too much. Like I said, he's a pure goal scorer. He gets the assist once in a while. No, it's not going to happen. There's no shot. I don't see it.
I say absolutely shot. I think he can win it even without winning the Rocket Richard. I think he currently has 20 goals and he's 3rd in scoring, 1 point behind Draisaitl and McDavid. He has 24 assists, 4 more assists than he does goals. I honestly think he can win the Hart Trophy regardless if he wins the Rocket Richard. He is that important to the Washington Capitals, and the league knows it.
I agree with Joey. He is just as much of a playmaker these days as he is a goal scorer. And if he does pass Leon Draisaitl, I do think there is a shot he wins the MVP. I also think McDavid and Draisaitl take votes away from each other. And that would leave Alexander Ovechkin. If the season ended today, they would be the 3 nominees, in my opinion.
Shot.
Fair enough?
I'd be 2 shots deep right now. Maybe it's a good thing we didn't.
Yeah, really. I didn't expect you to agree with me on both so far, but maybe we'll get a little bit of a debate here. Adam Fox currently is 3rd in the NHL in assists. So I ask you, Joe, shot or no shot, Adam Fox is the current front runner for the Norris Trophy.
No shot. No shot. There's a guy who plays over in Colorado who is just too damn good. His time has come to, enter the Norris Trophy chat. Adam Fox won it last year, and that is Cale Makar. I say there's no shot anyone wins it but Cale Makar, who just seems to score every single game as a defenseman.
Frank.
I'm going to disagree with Joey here and go shot. Adam Fox, this dude, the Rangers have been really good. They've way past my expectations. So seeing what the Rangers are doing and seeing what he's doing, it's hard to not say, like, yeah, he's going to win this thing. I mean, Colorado had a rocky start. Makar's playing great, so you can't really take Colorado's play into consideration on if he wins the Norris or not. But I think this is Adam Fox's year. He's been a stud.
I agree with Frankie. I think as of right now, Fox is the front runner. I think Cale Makar is in the conversation. If the question was shot or no shot, does Cale Makar have a chance to win the Norris Trophy? I would say shot. But as of right now, if the season ended today, do I see Adam Fox as the front runner? I would say shot. Victor Hedman, John Carlson, and Roman Josi round out my top 5 for the Norris Trophy. If the season ended today and Gary Bettman called me and said, Vince, you get a Norris Trophy ballot. I need your 1 through 5. I would go Fox, Makar, Hedman, Carlson, Josi in that order. So I'm with you on that. There's a lot of season left, though.
Disrespect to Chuck.
Chuck's great, but he's probably sixth. He's probably sixth.
Chuck's had a Norris Trophy season up to this
Sure,
point.
There are some great players in the NHL. There are 5 guys who deserve the Hart Trophy right now, and there are 6 or 7 guys who deserve the Norris Trophy, and there are about 4 goalies that deserve the Vezina. It's a great league, the NHL right now. What a time to be alive. Don't do stupid shit so you can stay on this earth and watch hockey as long as you can, because it is great right now. So that's how I feel about that.
13 goals, 13 assists for Cale Makar, 26 points in 23 games. You gotta love that.
Adam Fox has more assists than Cale Makar has points, but I'll leave it at that. COVID-19 cases are rising across the sports world as we start to get into winter. The twin-demic between the flu and COVID has been hurting teams across the league. And of course, the National Hockey League is preparing to participate in the 2022 Winter Olympic Games. They're thinking about implementing some rules where if you test positive in China during the tournament, you have to quarantine for a long time. And if you do it towards the end of the tournament, you're not coming back to your NHL team for a while. And they're going to come back home to the good old US of A while your ass stays in China. So who went first last time, Joey? So, yeah. Frank, I'll ask you, shot or no shot? If the COVID issues continue to rise and the rules that are in rumors continue to be put into fruition, the NHL should stay away from the Olympic Games.
So shot or no shot on if they should stay away?
Yes.
I don't think – I'll say no shot. I don't think they're going to stay away, but I don't know. This is so – I could see it go either way. There's no middle here. I think it depends on how bad the cases get. I'm really torn on if they will or not. I don't know what to say to that.
All right, no shot, Joseph.
No shot.
I'm a little confused. Do I say shot if I think they should not go to the Olympics?
Yes.
Shot me up all day. They should stay away from the Olympics as far as possible. You just broke news to me right now. Earlier the show that Patrice Bergeron is on the COVID protocol, and that breaks my heart because knowing that Brad Marchand is out for the next 6 games on the stupid COVID protocol, really, really hurts me. And I don't want to see my players stuck in China for 20 days once the Olympics happen. So give me shot. I do not want to see my players go to the Olympics. We'll see what happens with that.
Absolutely. I know the players really want to go. I wish I would say no shot, but I'm going to say shot because if Jack Hughes or Nico Hischier, I know I go out on my rant about the Devils sucking, but I still love them and I want my players in North America safe and healthy. And if they're stuck in China, I would be very concerned. I'm not a fan of that. So if this continues to happen the way that it's happening and the rules that are being discussed continue to go into fruition, I will be very upset. And so I have one more for you guys, not hockey related. The Arizona Cardinals lost on Monday Night Football to the Los Angeles Rams. So that makes it the second time this season that they have lost to one of the powerhouses in the NFC, the other being the Green Bay Packers. So I ask you, shot or no shot, Joseph, the Arizona Cardinals are frauds.
No shot. They are the real deal. Kyler Murray is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's on a trajectory to be one of the best quarterbacks to ever play the game. I'm all on board with the Arizona Cardinals.
Frank?
I'm going to go no shot as well, just because, because he lost yesterday and then people are going to say, oh, he's frauds? No. I mean, the top teams in the league have 3 losses, and now the Cardinals have 3 losses. I think he's a great quarterback. I thought they really played the end of the game yesterday, or when was that game? Monday? Very poorly.
Badly coached.
It was really poorly coached. I thought they could have won that game if it was coached a little bit better, but I think they're going to use that loss and learn from their mistakes and fix it. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the Super Bowl, but I do think that they are not frauds by any means. They have a great team. DeAndre Hopkins, Kyler Murray, great duo. We'll leave it at that.
Frank, I also thought it was funny. We were talking about kickers on Sunday. Remember? We were talking about kickers, and I was asking.
Oh, Matt Prater.
Matt Prater's
yeah.
the Cardinals.
Yeah,
that's another thing why I think the game was so poorly coached, because you got Matt Prater.
Mm-hmm.
So if they would have kicked the field goal earlier, they could have won the game.
That's fair. I am going to say shot. I think they are frauds. I think Green Bay or what are they? The Rams would beat them in the playoffs. I think Tampa Bay would beat them in the playoffs. And I think the San Francisco 49ers would beat them in the postseason. So I got them as frauds. They are not one of my 5 Super Bowl contenders. And I will ask you, Frank, give me your top 5 Super Bowl contenders.
So the first 4 were pretty easy for me. Then I kind of got stuck on the 5th one, but I went with one. So right now my 5 are the Packers, who I personally think will win the Super Bowl. I don't know. There's just something about this team. Aaron Rodgers has 4 interceptions all season. He's rolling. Devontae Adams, Aaron Jones, crazy. I think they're the front runners, but I got the Packers, the Buccaneers, the Cardinals, the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have been playing really well. Earlier in the season, I thought the Chiefs had no shot. I don't know what they did, what they're feeding these guys lately, but they've really turned it around defensively too. And then my 5th team's the Patriots.
Very interesting. Would you mind repeating them for me again? I'm going to grab a pen here.
Yeah, let me know when you're ready.
Yep, I'm ready.
Packers, Buccaneers, Cardinals, Chiefs, Patriots. Not in that specific order. I just wrote down the 5. Did you want an order?
No, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that. So I got yours written down. Joseph, who are your 5 Super Bowl contenders?
Well, we agree. Me and Frankie agree on all but one. And I know you're gonna give me so much hate for this.
I know which one it is.
What?
I know which one it is.
Are you sure? I have the Cardinals, the Buccaneers, the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh, wow.
How you think the Cowboys are better than the Green Bay Packers? Get out of here.
I got to be honest. So that's not the one I didn't think you – I thought you wouldn't have the Chiefs in there because you've been bad-mouthing the Chiefs.
No, but like you said, they've had a great second half.
However, the one that I said I was torn, I had the 4, and then the 5th one was I was up in the air. The Cowboys was that one. Do I put the Cowboys in or not? And I ended up taking the Cowboys out of there, but not over the Packers.
Sick. The Cowboys are sick, and if the Chargers finish higher than the Chiefs, I might throw them in there because the Chargers, Justin Herbert's the real deal.
The Chiefs have won 5 in a row.
I know.
Yeah, and I don't think the Cowboys are better than the Packers.
They're not. The Packers might be the best team in the NFL.
I don't think they can win the Super Bowl.
That's interesting. That's
they're
very
my favorite
interesting
to win it. I don't know.
Yeah, they're right there for me. Mine are the Buccaneers.
The Bears scored 35 points on them. The Bears haven't been able to score points all year.
The Bears scored 14 points on offense. They scored 14 points on offense. This is the best Packers defense that Rodgers has ever had.
They scored 14 points. That's not good. You're letting other teams' defense get this many points.
The Bears have a pretty good defense.
And special teams.
Yeah, the Packers will figure it out. That's the first time this season that's happened.
The Bears suck, and they let them get 35 points.
I don't know. I'm gonna go. I got the Buccaneers, the Packers.
Go ahead with yours.
The Buccaneers, the Packers, the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Patriots. So we have four. We have 4 of the 5 the same. I have the Rams. Frankie has. Who does Frankie have different than me? Oh, Frankie has the Cardinals, and you have the Cardinals too, but you have the Cowboys. So yes,
I want to throw the Chargers over the Chiefs so bad because the Chiefs have like I'm not all in on the Chiefs, not one bit. I am all in on Justin Herbert.
we have 7 teams amongst our 3 lists. So I will venture to say that one of those 7 teams wins the Super Bowl.
If Derrick Henry comes back, are you guys scared of the Titans at all?
Yes,
No, I'm not.
I am. Derrick Henry steals football games.
Yeah,
I hope he comes back just
because the AFC is so up in the air. Like, so the AFC has the Chiefs and the Patriots, right? And then it's like, who's after that? You got the Chargers, who are up and coming. Justin Herbert, he either looks like dog meat or he throws for 5,000 yards in one game. And then you got teams like the Cleveland Browns, who, in my opinion, have the 3rd best roster in the NFL. But now Baker Mayfield's out with COVID, so who the hell knows what they're going to do? The Pittsburgh Steelers are dead. The Bengals are pretty good. So, like, the AFC is, like, very top-heavy. So the Tennessee Titans, to me, are good. Nobody talks about the Indianapolis Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are coming. They're good. Their slow start to the season might have, really haunted them. But I think the NFC is significantly more debatable than the AFC. The AFC has 3 or 4 teams that we think have a chance. Any of the teams in the NFC could come out of this if they make it. Even the Washington football team puts up a fight after going down big to Dallas early in that game.
Man, I'm not scared of the Colts.
You're not scared of the Colts, huh? I mean, I'm not necessarily saying the Colts are going to win the Super Bowl by any means, but I think they're a scary team in the NFL. I wouldn't want to play them in like the first round.
Playoffs are just a whole different ball game, different than the regular season. And while they're doing good now, I just don't see them being a good playoff team.
Absolutely, I agree. So we do have 7 teams amongst having only 7 teams amongst each of us making a list of 5 is pretty chalk, I guess.
We might as well just bet on, like, as a collective trio, we should bet on all 7 of those teams, and we probably would make some profit if we threw money on it right now, right?
And that'll be the year the Colts win the Super Bowl.
Well, I mean,
then go ahead and scratch off the Chiefs because we're about to talk about this Thursday night game. The Chargers, I'm going to put the Chargers in over the Chiefs.
Yeah,
as my contender.
The Chiefs?
Yes.
Come on, dude. The Chiefs have the best defense that they've had in the Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes partnership. Other the year they maybe won the Super Bowl, but we went into the season. Me and Frankie had I remember it being hot as shit outside, and me and Frankie having a text message conversation while I was sitting on our front porch about how dog meat we both thought the defense was. And now their pass rushing is unbelievable. They get to the quarterback, they stop other teams from scoring, and their offense is the thing that hasn't really clicked yet. Patrick Mahomes has had more games with his passer rating being closer to 90 than 110. So if Mahomes Mahomes hasn't had his best game that he's going to have this season. So outside of the 2 games that they played the Raiders, their offense has been like sputtering. So it's really hard to say that like we've seen the best of the Chiefs. I still think we haven't seen the best of the Chiefs.
Chargers win tonight. The Chargers might win out. Is what I'm saying. The Chargers literally might win out.
Chance against the Chiefs this week.
You don't think they have a chance?
No, I think if this matchup happened in week 3 or 4, the Chargers will win. They're at home.
Yeah,
but
they might blow them out early.
Yeah, happening this late in the season, the way the Chiefs are playing, I don't think they got a shot.
Yeah, see, Skyler knows about the Raiders. Like the Chiefs blew out the Raiders twice, and it's kind of the same vein as why I think the Cardinals are frauds. Like, is the opposite of the the Chiefs. The Chiefs have like won some like close games this season, and they've been playing playoff football all year long. Every Cardinals win has been by an average of like 2 touchdowns or more. So those close games against the good teams, they lose every time. And that's why I think the Cardinals are frauds. And if they play a team like Green Bay or the Buccaneers, I think they'll get beat in the playoffs. They're a good team. They're an elite team. They might have the 1 seed. We'll see. But I'm not counting out the Rams either. That team, so much talent on both sides of the ball.
I literally think the Chargers are going to win out, and I think they're going to take over that division. They're going to beat the Chiefs tomorrow. And yeah.
All right, so Joey's high on the Chargers, even though he didn't put them in his top 5 because he was scared.
I just said you can cross off the Chiefs and put them.
Nope, your final answer is your final answer.
Okay, well, I'm telling you my final answer is the Chargers beat. I'll bet you we should make a bet on tomorrow's football game.
I'm considering it.
Just
I will.
Me versus you, though, not the odds.
I'm a nice guy since I'm a nice host and I do the right thing. I changed your pick from Chiefs to Chargers.
We'll do an old school gentleman's bet where it's no odds. Me and you, we take a team.
All right.
All right.
Yeah, we could discuss the terms on that after the show. And
$1 million.
All right. I'll bet you $1 million on it. I will bet you $1 million right now on that game. Easy. And, something away from football or sports in general is something that's been going on in the pop culture world. And I know we have some great, great, great pop culture content here on the Barroom Network with shows like Science Fiction and even this show and Crosstown Crosstalk. I'm sure Mike North might dive into things he likes, from stories from back in the day or whatever. And of course, as of right now, the most popular thing in the world is the premiere of Spider-Man Far From Home. No Way Home.
Yeah,
Spider-Man No Way Home.
Scox fucked you up.
I think he did. Spider-Man No Way Home makes its debut to the public in theaters tomorrow. The Hollywood premiere was on Monday, and all the reviews came out, and people are loving it. First of all, before we get into Spider-Man, I'm going to be very, very clear about something. If I find out that someone I know spoils the movie for anyone, you will be dead to me for the rest of your life. If you spoil the movie, you're a fucking asshole. And there's already issues with it on Twitter. People are getting blocked. The Variety magazine or whatever the hell that shit's called is like putting out tweets like with spoiler-filled reviews of the movie. What are you doing? Nobody's seen it yet. It doesn't come out to the public till Thursday night. What are you doing? Don't talk about the movie at the movie theater till you get in your car. Don't talk about it in the bathroom. Don't talk about it in front of movie theater workers who guaranteed haven't seen it yet. And yeah, Spider-Man probably dies. Just kidding. Don't be that guy. So Frank, I want to get it from you first. How excited are you for this movie?
I'm very excited. I've been grinding Marvel this week more than any other time in my life. I've sit down and in the past week I've watched Spider-Man 1, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I finished all of Hawkeye except episode 5, which came out today, which I will be watching later tonight. I've grinded all that in less than a week, and I'm also going to try and figure out a way to watch Eternals, and if I have time, into the Spideyverse. So yeah.
Very good. Joseph?
I'm very excited.
I am so pumped. I haven't been this excited for a Marvel movie probably ever. Like, I knew what I was going to get with Infinity War. I knew what I was going to get with Endgame.
You didn't know what you were going to get with Infinity War. No spoilers.
I didn't
know
what
you were. Don't say it.
I knew the characters I was going to get. I didn't know how it ended. I knew the characters and what I was going to expect. A battle with fucking Thanos. Did I know who would win? No. But I knew what I was going to get, and then I knew what I was going to get in Endgame. They would fucking fix the issue probably. I don't know what I'm going to get with this movie. I don't know how it's going to end. I don't know exactly who's going to be in it. And that fucking unknown makes me so excited. I've thought about it literally every day. Just in this trailer, you see Doc Ock. We just watched the Spider-Man 2 from back in 2002. Who knows what the fuck kind of suit that is? There's my guy, Dr. Strange.
That's not Tom Holland, in my opinion.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. That unknown about this movie it gives me the jitters that I have not had with a Marvel movie for a very, very long time. So the expectations are high, which could be dangerous. Could be very dangerous. But honestly, I'm so excited. I can't even describe it.
99% on Rotten Tomatoes last time I checked. Now that will go down as more reviews come in. But I mean, the initial thoughts on this movie are that it's very rewarding for fans of the franchise and Marvel in general. So very excited to see it. I love Benedict Cumberland. Is that how you say his name? As Doctor
Cumberbatch.
Strange? Cumberbatch?
Batch, like a batch
I
of cookies.
Oh, okay, Cumberbatch. Okay. I love that guy. Love him. I love him so much that I didn't even know his name. And it's just amazing to me. I'm excited to watch this movie and see what the character development is like, and if there's more spiders in it, if there's more villains than what we've seen. They gave us Doc Ock, and they gave us some kind of version of the Green Goblin, and I'm still convinced that's the new Goblin on one of the posters. So it's going to be so interesting to me to see how this goes, if Tom Holland connects with Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield or any of these guys. But I really, really, really cannot wait. And I hope you guys are just as excited as me. I know we'll be seeing it together.
I'm so excited. You have no idea.
Literally,
Yep.
the list goes on potential villains, like a Venom, any Venom. We saw it. I mean, it looks like Sandman, Lizard, Electro, Jamie Foxx, and in the modifications to these heroes. If you dissect these trailers, it looks like the tentacles or whatever the arms on Doc Ock are made out of some Tony Stark nanotech, or it looks like Electro has an arc reactor of some kind that he has. So however they fucking explain all this shit, I'm ready for it, and I can't wait.
Yep. And I love the theory that me and you came up with by reading that Marvel book. That shout out to our good pal John, bought me a great birthday present of a Marvel book. It's like a Marvel encyclopedia, and it has literally every single character and like stuff about them. Yeah, it is the one you have, I believe. It might be a little bit newer. I don't know if they make a new one every year, but it's definitely like a brand new one. And it had a little passage in there about the Green Goblin and Norman Osborn. And apparently Tony Stark takes over for Norman Osborn as the official weapons creator for the United States government. So the fact that Norman Osborn and Tony Stark are like cut from the same cloth and they have the same job, but one's super soldier serum turns him into the Green Goblin and the other doesn't take a super soldier serum at all. Like that to me is like really, really cool. Like basically the Hulk, the Green Goblin, and Captain America all got their powers the same way, but two of them took wildly different paths than, of course, Steve Rogers did. And one was successful and two really were failures. So I guess that's probably the reason. But just all the dynamic between that stuff, we'll see if that comes to go in this movie. So before we head on out of here and get into our final segment.
I want to address two comments here. We're seeing it at 9:30 tomorrow. And Skylar right here is the second person that I've heard tell me to watch the What If episode featuring Doctor Strange. I'm about halfway through the series What If. I really am starting to think I should get through that because I'm assuming it kind of explains what we expect to see from Doctor Strange and the spell he does something. So
that's actually a really good point. Shout out to Skylar for doing that. I'm going to make sure that takes place before tomorrow night at 9:30. I have to finish Hawkeye. I want to watch The Amazing Spider-Man 2 and then that What If, and then I'll be ready to go for 9:30 tomorrow night. So before we move off into our Breaking Bets segment, I have to ask you guys for your Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man movies.
I'll go first since Joey looks like
since Joey looks like he's Googling the Spider-Man movies right now because he did absolutely no show prep.
I'm gonna go with Spider-Man 1, the first Spider-Man, Spider-Man 3, Spider-Man Homecoming, and Spider-Man Far From Home.
Okay. Do you expect Spider-Man No Way Home to boot one of those on out of there tomorrow night?
Absolutely, and I had that written down. It's no doubt. I think it's going to be my favorite Spider-Man movie. I guarantee you it'll be my favorite Spider-Man movie thus far, so it'll definitely boot one of them out.
Okay. I'll be very surprised if I like it more than Homecoming.
Really?
Yeah. I love Spider-Man Homecoming.
All right, I'll just go ahead and say
I'll
answer your question. I'll answer your question at the beginning of my Mount Rushmore and say I'm expecting this to be my number one favorite Marvel movie.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Not just Spider-Man movie.
If it passes Infinity War for me, I'll be stunned.
That's what I'm expecting.
Okay.
I've never.
I believe it. I hope it does for me and you. I hope it does.
My favorite Spider-Man movies.
As of right now, your Mount Rushmore without seeing No Way Home yet.
I love the Tobey Maguire movies as much as the next guy. I love them. I grew up on them. They get a lot of hate. I personally love them. I really like the Andrew Garfield ones. Even more hate those ones get. I think
The
Andrew
only
Garfield,
original 3, the only one that gets hate is 3.
Yeah.
So
I really enjoyed the Andrew Garfield ones. I thought they were very entertaining. I think he played a great Spider-Man, just my opinion. I don't know. But Tom Holland knocks it out of the park. My Mount Rushmore is going to consist half of the Tom Holland ones. I got both of them, Homecoming and No Way Home, or Far From Home, I'm sorry. And then I'll go ahead and throw Spider-Man 1 and Spider-Man 3 from the Tobey Maguire series. That doesn't mean I don't love the Andrew Garfield ones, because I honestly do. I really enjoy them. But it's going to go 1, 3, and then the first 2 of Tom Holland for me. For my Mount Rushmore, I expect this one to bump out Spider-Man 1 of the Tobey Maguires.
So we got
Absolutely.
the same Mount Rushmore.
Mine's different. Mine's
You said both Tom Holland ones, Frank?
I said Homecoming, Far From Home, Spider-Man 1, and Spider-Man 3.
Oh, yeah. Then we do have the same ones.
Yeah.
Mine,
I like the Amazing Spider-Man ones. I mean, those are great, but I just don't think they're Mount Rushmore worthy.
my Mount Rushmore is Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Those are my Mount Rushmore of Spider-Man movies.
Interesting.
So it's very good stuff.
And Skox makes a good point here about Willem Dafoe's performance, and let's just get more of that in this next movie. I'm so excited.
Me
Yep.
too.
I think I've said the word excited like 40 times in the past.
Yes, I agree. And yes, I do hate Eddie Brock and Venom in Spider-Man 3. Absolutely, just so like the directors were like, yeah, but Venom's like this in the comics. And the director was like, nah, have another beer. So we will go with that, and we'll recap our Spider-Man thoughts spoiler free next week on Bar Down Talking Hockey, which is just basically Bar Down Talking Life at this point. So with that, we will leave you with one final segment called Breaking Bets. And welcome to Breaking Bets, featuring Frankie the King Bean Mueller and Joseph Walter White Parisi. Joseph, we'll start with you since you're the man with the plan. You're the star-spangled man with the plan. Your Breaking Bets. I start with Frank every week, I feel like, on this, so I'll go to you on this one.
No, I think you start with me just because I'm always ready with the hat. I feel like you guys are always, during the intro, you guys are always just waiting for, like, is Joey going to be slipping this week? Is he not going to have the hat? And
Oh, if you forget, I will roast you.
I'm always
ready. I'll boot you. You're fired if you do that. So
I'm always ready. One thing I wasn't ready for was my picks. But looking right now,
wasn't ready for Mount Rushmore, his 5 teams in the NFL, his picks.
Looking right now, though,
everyone send Joey a DM on Twitter at Joey Parisi, just roasting him.
It's clear though. Looking right now, it's clear. I got stuff jumping out at me. Stuff just jumps to me. I don't make the picks. The picks make me. It makes me money. The Blackhawks will beat the Washington Capitals to sweep the short 2-game season series. Take the Hawks money line plus 112. I like them at home. I'm taking them. And then I only got 2 hockey picks. Not a lot of games. It sucks that we do this on a Wednesday because it's a very slow day for the National Hockey League. But with that being said, my team out west, I cheer for them. I root for them. They're good. They're the best team in the Pacific Division, playing one of the worst teams in the Pacific Division, the Anaheim Ducks, minus 1.5 against the Seattle Kraken. That's my picks.
Frank?
Well, I got 1 hockey pick and 3 basketball picks. Like Joey said, not a lot of hockey, but I agree with him that the Ducks money line 162 minus 162 looks pretty good. Great against the Kraken. Ducks have been rolling. They're at home. I don't see them losing to the Kraken. The next one I got is the Spurs money line at minus 165. They're home against the Hornets. The Hornets just kind of look flat all season, home and away. They're really inconsistent team, so I like the Spurs at home. I also like the Grizzlies money line. They're minus 152. They're on the road in Portland tonight to play the Trailblazers. Trailblazers have lost 6 straight. And they also played last night, and I stress every day to everybody I know that it's hard to play back-to-back games in the NBA. It's just something weird about it. I don't know why it is, if it's the mindset, whatnot. So I really like the Grizzlies on the road tonight at minus 152 against the Portland Trailblazers. And CJ McCollum's been out for the Blazers, so I just think there's a lot of value in the Grizzlies. They've been playing great. My last pick, like the Mavericks money line at home, they're plus 110. The Mavericks have really, really, really impressed me lately, like tremendously. They played their last 2 games without Luka Doncic. They ran over both their last 2 games that they played. I know that last game they played the Hornets. They beat them by double digits. The game before that, I forgot who they played, but they won by double digits. Those were all without Luka Doncic. So that was like really, really impressive. I did not expect that whatsoever. So they're home tonight, and I'm pretty sure they're getting Doncic back. Don't quote me on that. Not 100% sure, but if they are, and even if they aren't, I like them tonight at home against the Lakers, who have been inconsistent and struggling. So there are your picks.
Very good picks, boys, except for Joey. Except for Joey saying this stuff about the Capitals with like, even if you think the Hawks are going to win, like advising people to bet against them to beat the Washington Capitals. Like, what?
Yeah, I think there's great value. I think the Blackhawks will win tonight. You said it earlier yourself that the Blackhawks can play amongst the elite teams, yet now they're playing the Washington Capitals, who aren't even like the best team in the league. They have their faults, especially if they got Vitek Suckachek in the net, which I don't think they do. I think Samsonov will get the start. But fuck Vitek Vanacek. Fuck the Capitals. The Hawks are good. They're playing good. They'll beat the Washington Capitals at home, honoring Marc-Andre Fleury. Place is going to be going bananas. Fleury's in net. Like, what more can you want? Jonathan Taves on a goal scoring tear right now.
He owns the Capitals too. We all know that. My one pick, I'm just giving you shit. The only thing I'm looking at all the lines for tonight, and I see the Milwaukee Bucks are +2 against the Indiana Pacers. And even though Giannis Antetokounmpo is out with COVID-19, I still think the Bucks can beat the Indiana Pacers. So that is my value pick for you, the listener, is to bet the Milwaukee Bucks at home against the Indiana Pacers.
Also, I want to address one thing Vinny said to me earlier. He said that Adam Fox has more assists than Cale Makar has points, and that is false. Vinny spews out false information. Adam Fox has 25 assists, and Cale Makar has 26 points. So,
I'm bad at math. When you said his goals plus assists, I added them wrong. It's pretty close. It's close enough where I can say shot Adam Fox is the Norris Trophy favorite. So, boom. And I will like to remind everyone that Buffon 55 is tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, and then Science Fiction right after at 9 p.m. And if you're listening to Buffon 55, you're going to listen to discussion about the National Football League, specifically the Chicago Bears and their debacle of a second half against the Green Bay Packers on Sunday, and their upcoming Monday Night Football game against the Minnesota Vikings. And then, of course, Science Fiction tonight at 9 p.m. You'll hear all the nerdy stuff going on in the world right now. You heard a little bit of a preview out with me, Joey, and Frankie. You know, I can't wait to listen to what those guys think is going to happen here coming up with Spider-Man No Way Home. I think everybody's excited for it. Even the non-comic book movie fans, just movie fans in general, or people who are fans of storytelling, should be interested in what's going on here. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So hopefully everybody gets out and safely checks out the movie this weekend. You know, stay safe, stay healthy. It's not easy out there right now. Got some pretty bad weather coming in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. So hopefully everyone stays safe with that as well. And, you know, Christmas coming up, I do believe we are going to have our shows next week. So looking forward to that and spreading some holiday cheer in that way. So, and of course, over the weekend, you could check out all the barroom happenings. Of course, Mike North tomorrow morning. I'll be on 2 p.m. tomorrow, Crosstown Crosstalk. I have no idea what I'm going to fill an hour show with because there's no baseball other than the Houston Astros signing Verlander, even though it's a lockout. So how is that possible? Tune in tomorrow to find out. And, you know, we'll see what happens there. There's the college football playoff coming up in just a couple weeks. We're going to watch Alabama repeat again. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm very much looking forward to it. So, Frank and Joe, do you have anything left to add before we head on out of here?
Just that I can't wait for this movie tomorrow. Can't wait for this Hawks game tonight. It's going to be a good next 48 hours.
Absolutely. Joseph?
Cale Makar leads the Colorado Avalanche in goals, which is remarkable.
Yep. And Adam Fox has almost as many assists as he has points, and he plays equally as well defensively as he does offensively. He is the best defenseman in the NHL, and it's not close. And for at the King Bean on Twitter, that's Frankie. At Joey Parisi on Twitter, that's Joey. I'm at Vinny Parisi on Twitter. I'm Vinny. Thank you for listening.
It's raining tacos from out of the sky. Tacos, no need to ask why. Just open your mouth and close your eyes. It's raining tacos. It's raining tacos out in the street. Tacos, all you can eat. Lettuce and shells, cheese and meat. It's raining tacos. Yum, 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 yummity yum. It's like a dream. Yum, 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 yummity yum. Bring your sour cream.
Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, lettuce, cheese. Shell, meat, cheese, 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 cheese.
It's raining tacos.